everyone. Welcome to another Higher Self Hypnosis session. My name is Tracy. You can find me online at wokelightworker.com. It's also Woke Lightworker on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest, and on TikTok. So you can find me all there for all of the classes I teach and my sessions and to watch sessions. So I have my wonderful client, Cheyenne, here, who has agreed, if this is online, we thought it would be a good one to share with everyone to help you learn what kind of information and healing and guidance and wisdom you can get from your higher self. So today we're going to hear from her higher self, and this is part one. So Cheyenne, this is where I'm going to get to learn everything about you so that once you're in that relaxed meditative state and you're channeling your higher self, I know which direction to take the questions. So I'll be coming up with like an outline of the questions, but it's not going to be, I'm going to come up with way more while you're in that relaxed meditative state channeling your higher self, but this will be my outline that I'll work from. So at some point I will take some time to work on my own while you get a break, and I'll put the questions together, and then I'll come back and read them to you, and then we'll break for lunch. Okay? But I sent you an email and I said, if you could change or get healing or answers or wisdom for 2 areas of your life that you feel would change, like make your life so much better, what would those 2 areas of your life be?
So I wrote down, I was meditating about it because there's the stuff that's like really obvious, and then there's a few kind of like subcategories that might like fit into it. But I've been suffering from like chronic like health issues for like the last 6 years almost, and it's affecting my life. I basically can't work. There was periods of like I've got chronic pain, chronic fatigue. I've got tons of digestive issues, food sensitivities. I've got PCOS, celiac disease, hypothyroid, and now it seems like I'm developing a lot of like connective tissue issues. And I've been avoiding like surgeries and avoiding using like pharmaceutical medicine because I don't resonate with that stuff. So for the last 5 years, I've been like pouring myself into alternative medicine, and I have made a lot of progress, but I feel like there's an underlining, maybe metaphysical, maybe trauma-based, maybe holding on to, you know, trapped emotions, like energy in my body, maybe some past life stuff, which is basically why I've got to this point, because, you know, I've spent thousands of dollars, and, you know, I'll work a couple days and then I'll feel really terrible again. So I would say that would be the biggest thing. Like, if I could get my health back to where it was before, I would be so happy and grateful, or even just to the point where I can work again. Mm-hmm. And I know that I am seeing a master herbalist right now, and she's identified that I have like parasites, that I've got heavy metals, I've got bacteria, mold, and fungus all contributing to my health issues. So she's working with me on a physical level, and I'm hoping that I can also address the energetic stuff that's going on too. So that would be number 1.
Okay.
And number 2, I've also got some other viruses, like I get cold sores and stuff like that, and I feel like that's just not good for my health, and it would be nice just to clear all that stuff out if that's possible. If there's, you know, any chance of that happening, that would be the number 1 thing I would like to happen. And the second one is I have a lot of negative self talk, a lot of limiting beliefs. I don't know. I know for a fact that my childhood has definitely contributed to that. I have abandonment issues, codependency. I've broken a lot of patterns within my family structure, but I still have some deeper stuff going on, like if I have an idea that I want to start, I just I'll never start it. It's just I'm in this really weird place where I feel super stuck. I'm a stay-at-home mom who's working on her health, but I have all of these great ideas and tons of potential, but I can't seem to match my frequency to start anything new. I have a lot of fear around branching out. You know, there's been a lot of issues with my relationship that, you know, I tend to cling to relationships to kind of try to bring in like confidence and stuff. Like I need a lot of affirmation from my spouse about any choices that I'm going to make. So it would be really nice to step into my confidence and to shed, you know, I grew up in it wasn't physically abusive, but there was emotional and verbal abuse. Like my dad abandoned us, and then he died when we were 6. And then my mom also, there was abandonment stuff, you know, when we were young teens. She kind of
Let's pick this apart a little bit. So so when you were growing up, are you the oldest, youngest, in the middle? Do you have siblings?
So my mom and my biological dad had twins. So me and my twin sister. And then when he was left, like he had a substance abuse issue. So he was always in and out, kind of like he wasn't stable. So he would leave for a long period of time and then come back. My mom was just doing it on her own. So she was working all the time, and we were with babysitters, like as babies, right? So I also felt like so then when he was out of the picture, my mom got together with my stepdad, and it was fairly stable except for there was drinking. He drank a lot, but so there was like aggression, but it wasn't like physical abuse. It was more just like you were scared all the time because you never knew when he was going to like get mad about stuff because he was drunk, right? So when we moved in with him, we had 2 older step siblings that lived with him half the time and lived with their mom half the time. So there was like constant competition, and like because my mom came from like there's intergenerational trauma there from my grandma going to a residential school. So she came from a violent upbringing. So there was just a lot of dysfunction going on, and it was very unstable. And I learned at a really young age to read the room. So my empathy is really high, and I know what's going on with people just by looking at them. I can sense on like an energetic level. It was something I developed, I feel like. And there was just a lot of trauma based around that family dynamic. It wasn't like all peaches and cream. It was like a lot of dysfunction and a lot of, I was never really heard. I was also a very like expressive child, and I said when something hurt me or bothered me, and like the adults in the family dynamic didn't appreciate that. So I was really shut down at a young age. And I feel like my parents didn't attune to me. My sister was very quiet and timid. She just kind of tried to stay out of trouble. Like I feel like her personality was like a coping mechanism. And I was really out there. I've been diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, but I likely had those ADHD characteristics that were really difficult for my...
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
So your sister was quiet and you were more like outgoing?
I was more outgoing, and, you know, my personality, I was more outgoing. I said what I was thinking. I was really expressive, and that would mean like the negative emotions that nobody ever wants to deal with, right? So at a really young age, what I've learned through my healing journey is that I was never really appreciated. Like I was more looked at as like a problem or like a problem creator, or like, you know, my mom and dad would be tired from work or whatever, and there I'd be trying to get attention or just doing things that kids do, and it would just be like, oh, just go away, just be quiet kind of thing. And my sister is also very introverted, and I'm like more outwardly expressive. So, you know, if an adult did something that like bothered me or hurt my feelings, I would say so, but I never got like, oh, I'm sorry that I hurt you, or it was just always like, oh, just stop. Like my emotions have been shut down since I was like little, but then I also developed the care, like as a young child, I developed kind of like, oh, if I care about people or try to like help people with their stuff, then I'll be a part of the equation more. So I turned into like the caretaker as I grew up of everybody's problems, but nobody gave a hoot about mine.
Hold on. Let me just ask the question and you just answer the question. How about that?
Okay.
Otherwise we're gonna go
I'll just,
over the time
ramble.
allowed, and then it'll cut into the session. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to have the first part consume all our time. So because I just need really highlights. I don't need like a lot of detail. So so the two other kids, are they quite a bit older than you, a little bit older? And how did you get along with them? The thing I heard you say was there was constant competition. Was it because you guys were jealous of each other, or what was going on?
Yeah, I think that, so my two step siblings were quite a bit older. Like they were probably like 11, 12, and we were like 5, 6.
Okay.
When we all merged, and they didn't like, you know, they were jealous. They didn't like having the other kids in the house. And they were like teens, so they found us annoying too, right? They were just like, oh, these annoying kids, right?
Okay. Do you have any relationship with them today or no?
Yeah, we have actually a great relationship, but like that only developed after they moved out and we grew up.
Okay.
Like they still cared about us, but it was like, it wasn't like that loving sibling dynamic. Like I didn't feel that we were cared about like that.
Okay, and so stepdad was never abusive to you, other than you lived in fear, and you felt unsupported growing up, right? Unsupported.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Because you said you felt
unappreciated, unsupported, and just kind of like marginalized in a way. Like my emotions, I never felt like my emotions mattered to anybody.
So would you say you felt unheard?
I definitely felt unheard, yeah.
Okay. All right,
that would be very accurate.
Okay. So what about mom? What kind of mom was she? Was she caring, nurturing, loving? Like, how was mom?
When we were little, I feel like she was a good mom. I feel like it was hard for her to contend and to deal with my emotions. So I do feel like she didn't really attune to me in that way, but she still was very loving in her way. But she developed a substance issue, and things did not stay that way for a very long time. So the loving mom, it feels like another lifetime, because she is not that way now. And when I moved out when I was 14 because she started using hard drugs. And ever since then, she's been like a different person, like mental health issues, very cruel and hurtful, I would say. She's definitely caused me a lot of trauma and serious pain. So she'd be probably one of my main sources of pain.
And so you do have any kind of relationship today with mom, or no?
It's very unstable, and I've had to work with a lot of therapists to create like really healthy dynamics for my family. She has like the ability to visit with us on occasion, but it has to be very like on my terms. But it's very difficult for me to deal with on a daily because she is like kind of narcissistic. Like she has narcissistic behaviors and she's in denial, and she can't talk about things that she does or has done. So it's like a very delusional world that she lives in.
Okay, so
and I'm trying to be, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. So you've set pretty healthy, clear boundaries with her. Is that what you're saying?
I have, but I also it's been a process. So there's been choices I've made that I've regretted, and vice versa. But I would say out of everybody in my family, I definitely probably breaking those patterns of dysfunction. Yeah.
Ah, okay. And so is mom and stepdad still together?
They're still together, but it's a very, very codependent, toxic, they're all coping mechanisms. Like they enable each other. So it's like the worst of the worst. Other than like physical abuse, it's very unhealthy. A lot of mental health issues.
So how do they survive? I mean, are they still able to function and work, or?
Well, my dad he's a functioning alcoholic. My stepdad's a functioning alcoholic. So he's been very stable in that way, that he's always, like, nobody would call him like a drunk, but he would come home and drink like an 8-pack and then, call me fat or something, or call my sister stupid after like 8 beers, or, just he's got behavioral stuff, and it definitely caused issues for us. But if it wasn't for him also, we would probably be living like under the poverty line, like living in subsidized housing. So he created some stability for us financially, and he's a pretty good guy. Like, I would say he's a good guy. He stopped drinking. He's not like a binge drinker, but he drinks almost every day. But now that he's like in his 70s, it's just like a couple beers, But I would say my mom's issues are way worse, but he still works and he supports her. And she's got an array of substance abuse stuff. She's kind of in and out of getting better, then getting worse, and getting better over the last like 15 years. So it's it's like a box of chocolates. You just never know. When things are good, I don't feel like I can be present because I'm just waiting for the next shitty thing to happen from her, right? Oh, sorry for the swearing. But yeah, I'm just waiting for the next.
Yeah.
So it's kind of living in a state of constant, like, just triggered over and over again throughout my lifetime, and yeah, reopening of like old wounds and stuff.
Yeah. So you have anger and unforgiveness towards mom. Do you feel like you have both?
Absolutely. It's something that I really want to be done with. I don't want to carry that anymore. It's something that I'm actively working on, but I feel like when she behaves a certain way that I know is within her, like how she acts, I still get mad, and I really don't want to be controlled by that anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. So, why don't you just completely cut mom out of your life completely?
Well, I have actually recently done that, and I feel like that's probably one of my biggest issues, is that I'll be really strong with something for a long time, and then I'll get sucked back in, like on a Mother's Day. Because my dad, he's decent. He's like a pretty good guy. He's a really good grandpa, and I feel like I don't know, there's some subconscious thing there that I go back and forth, where I'm like, I'm never going to talk to you again, and it'll be like 3 or 4 months, and then she'll be doing better and she'll go to, she's going to treatment or this, that, the other thing, or she's stopped using this. And then I'll allow her to see, because they kind of just harass me too as well. And I eventually kind of give in. So it's definitely like a pattern. And I kind of flounder with it, you know?
So do you get more benefit or more non-benefit from having them in your life?
Definitely more non-benefit. I don't get any benefit from it
Okay.
at all. It's all my like empathy towards like them and my son, because my son loves them. They're actually like great with him when we have little visits and stuff, but I just feel like there's something there that I can't quite understand why.
Okay.
Like
Well,
saying it out loud, it sounds crazy, but yeah, it's definitely like a big
no. I
issue.
get it. I get it. So here,
Yeah.
let's talk about this for just 1 second, because you have three choices.
Mhm.
With this situation, I just made a TikTok about this the other day. So you have three choices um, for you to have peace. Okay. For you
Mhm.
to have peace in your life, you have three choices, because our natural state is peace and bliss. So if you want to be in your natural state where you're not having health issues because you're not in your natural state, and you want to be in your natural state of peace and bliss and flow, and energy just flows, right? Three
Mhm.
choices, three ways to do that. One is you totally and completely accept mom, stepdad for exactly who they are and exactly what they are, exactly the way they are. Like,
Mhm.
not having any expectations or desires for them to be anything different, just totally and completely accepting and loving them. Because then you can be at peace and you
Mhm.
don't let anything about them bother you, like zero.
Mhm. Mhm.
The second thing, the second choice for you to have peace is to say, okay, I want them in my life, even if it's, a little bit, I want them in my life. So what is it in me that needs to be healed or changed, or what different perspective do I need so that I can handle them exactly how they are? Because right now I'm not at that place where I can just totally love and handle them and not wish they were different. So what is it in me that needs to be healed or
Mhm.
changed? So then
Mhm.
you got to change you, because you can't
Yeah.
make anyone else change. I mean, we just can't,
No.
right?
No.
So the third option is you remove completely and you don't go back.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with my mom. I removed myself completely years ago
Yeah.
because I was getting, I mean, it was probably about half and half, negative, positive, but to me, that wasn't enough. I need someone who's actually gonna um, add to my life, and that's in every
Mhm.
relationship I have.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need it
Yeah.
if it's just as much negative as it is positive. It's like, no, you're draining me. Like, I don't want that. I
Yeah.
don't need that. I mean, everyone has their different tolerance levels. I have too much I want to
Yeah.
accomplish in life that I just don't want to be giving energy to that and be
Yeah.
distracted from what I want for my life, because I'm first. For me and my life, I'm first. For her and her
Mhm.
life, she is first. And she is welcome, obviously, to put herself first, and she should. But I
Yeah.
have the right and the ability and the desire to put myself first. And
Yeah.
I choose me. I only want people who add to my life. And so
Mhm.
she wasn't adding to my life.
Yeah.
And so, and I had, anyway, very little tolerance for that. And I mean, I was pretty quick to cut her off a couple times, um,
Yeah.
but anyway, so those are your three choices if you want to be in your natural state of
Yeah.
peace and bliss.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think just figuring out what it is that I want, because I feel like the one option of, yeah, I want them in my life at a distance, at, under my terms, is what I've been working on. So I've made really clear boundaries, and I don't flinch unless A, B, C, D, and E are all covered. And then I will allow a bit of space for them and us to have moments where she can be a nice mom for a little bit, and she's really great with my son. And my dad, like, even though he had drinking problems and stuff like that, he's a good guy and he's a really good grandpa. So I feel like for me, it's not as black and white. Now, like some of my other siblings, like my cousin, he has cut them off completely, and he doesn't have the same empathy, or, you know, I don't think of things always in terms of like, I think I still want to have, because there's moments that are really nice that we share, you know, like we had a really nice Mother's Day, and it was really nice. We exchanged gifts and we had that little moment, and I think that was nice. But other than that, I don't really have expectations of them like anymore. Like I feel like over the last couple like years, that's the process that I've been going through, is to just be like, they're going to do their thing, and I need to stop trying to like save them and fix them and all this stuff. So I feel like I'm kind of in that place where I'm just accepting them for what they are and what they're going to do, and I can create space within my own safety net, or where I feel safe. I don't do stuff unless I want to do it. I don't get manipulated or anything like that. Now, the other thing about cutting them off completely, I've done that a few times, but for some reason, I keep coming back. And the more I'm learning about myself, I don't think that that's necessarily so bad, because if I can change my, like what you were saying, if I can change what's going on inside me, then that's, I can tolerate that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with having healthy boundaries and keeping people in your life, as long as you enforce those boundaries. Because then if you don't, they're going to step over the boundaries and you're going to lose your peace.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to not have your peace. We're just talking about if you want to be in peace.
Yeah, I absolutely want to be in peace. That's what I've been working for the last five years, is just to be in peace with things that have happened, things that are going on that I can't control, and to still provide a little bit of safe space for us to still have some connection, because I don't have any other, you know, other than my family and a couple of friends, there's not a lot of people in my life. But I would say the thing that I'm working on right now is, when I create a boundary and they try to overstep it, is to not be triggered by that. Because they're still good. When you say like accepting them for who they are, they're habitual line crossers, and like that's never going to change as long as I don't allow them to manipulate my boundaries. But I don't want to be mad at them for trying, you know, because that's who they are. That's kind of what I'm working on right now, is like, it's always like, okay, here's my boundary, and they don't respect it, and then I get really mad, and I don't like that feeling.
Right. So that's a you issue, right? So you getting angry because you're choosing, it's your choice to keep them in your life. So then you need to determine, how do you do that, and what is it in you that needs to be healed, so that you don't lose your peace.
Exactly.
When they do, when they act how they act.
Yeah. Which is that's exactly what I've been practicing right now, is just to be like, you know what? No, I don't feel comfortable with this. I got to go. Talk to you later. Click. And then just go on with my day. Maybe have like a little meditate about it for a few minutes. And I have really been accomplishing not getting angry. And, you know, my mom had like she basically had like a THC induced psychosis that lasted for like 4 months, because she's taking gummies. And it was scary. Like, she wasn't even who she was. And it started happening again recently. And I didn't respond the same way. I just told my dad and my mom, we can't be around you guys right now. if you know, you need to go to treatment, you need to stop taking the gummies because I don't feel safe around you guys. And Erin's not going to be around you guys either. So you make your choice. We'll be over here doing our own thing. And then after a couple months, she was like, oh, I'm not taking them anymore and I'm going to treatment. And I was like, well, that's great for you. And then I slowly started, you know, being like, okay, well, now I feel more safe that you can see Erin, you know, that you can see him in supervised visits and stuff like that. So it's just about learning about just putting myself first in the situation and not feeling like I need to like protect her feelings or you know, feeling guilty about my boundaries, you know?
Right.
So,
Because when we put boundaries with other people, it's not our responsibility how they react, right?
yeah.
Because boundaries are for us and the
Hmm.
other person has a choice. Just like we all have so many choices. They can
Hmm.
choose to either respect our boundaries and stay in our life and be fine with it. They can
Hmm.
choose to respect our boundaries, not be fine with it and be angry with it, but they respect them anyway, and then they can lose their
Yeah.
peace about it. Or they can
Yeah.
choose not to respect them at all, and then you get them out of your life. And so, but how they choose to respond is their choice.
It's
We can't
completely out of
control anyone.
our,
We
yeah,
can't control them.
exactly.
We just set our
And I honest,
boundaries. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I honestly didn't expect, I had no expectations when I set that boundary. I was like, this is what I need to do. And I'm not going to feel, this is what I feel is right for me and my family. And I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to feel guilty about it. I have a therapist who is also like clairvoyant, who helps me with like, she helps me with like energy work with my chakras when I'm going through stuff like this. And she kind of helps me through these times. And she's like my guide, as like she, you know, helps me, counsels me and stuff. And I was very surprised at the reaction that I got afterwards, which was that she's going to get the treatment and all this kind of stuff. But I didn't put an expectation on it. I didn't get mad when it was like I detached myself emotionally and just tried to look at it from like an observer kind of perspective. And
Mhm.
I felt a lot more at peace than like previous things that occurred, like, you know, very similar stuff. So yeah, I feel like I'm on the right track,
Yeah.
but I
I think there might
definitely,
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think there might be some energetic cords we could cut if that's okay with you, because you're a big
yeah,
girl. Mom's a big girl. We don't need to have cords because that's how
no,
mom can
yeah,
reel you in. And then if mom's holding any of your soul fragments or you're holding any of mom's, we need to give those back. Ask creator to
mm,
cleanse and clear them. Give those back. We don't need to be holding anybody's soul fragments. That keeps
yeah,
you tethered and stuck to and constantly being
mm-hmm.
drawn in. And it's a way to find ourselves being easily manipulated by people too, because we've
Yeah,
got those energetic soul ties.
that makes a lot of sense to me because it does feel like almost like a pulling, like in my stomach area, like when she texts or calls or something, it definitely feels like I'm being pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
Yeah.
I know my mind is like, don't answer the phone, don't do this. And then I, you know, have emotional stuff that comes with that. But I definitely would not be surprised one bit if there was cords there.
Okay. I'm just typing a little bit of notes here and it's a couple
Yeah,
questions on
no
the
worries. No worries. Yeah.
document. Okay. So, and what about your twin sister? Are you guys identical, fraternal?
We're fraternal. And, you know, when we were little, we were like best friends. But there definitely developed like, I feel like my mom treated her better. Like, I'll just be honest. She treated her like she loved her more. And I think for me, it was because she was just easier to deal with.
Right, just
She was
easier,
just,
yeah.
she was
Mm-hmm.
just easier. But like as a little kid, you know, she kind of did more stuff for her. She still treats her like more like a child. Like she needs to like come to her rescue and she needs to help her. but I didn't get, like, from 14 on, I don't think my mom's lifted a finger for me. She's, you know, my sister was, like, for example, she was going to go and do some modeling when she was, like, 14. And my mom took her on, like, a shopping spree, spent, like, thousands of dollars. And I was like, well, can I get some new clothes? And she was like, oh, this is just for her, like, modeling thing. So that stuck with me. And it was like, okay, because she's, like, better looking than me, she gets more stuff. So I just felt like there was a lot of stuff like that going on. That is something that, like, hurt me deeply, and it probably affected my self-worth as well. But there was a lot of stuff like that that happened where there was a lot of emphasis put on, like, things like that shouldn't necessarily matter. Like, you know, so yeah, there's definitely, like, my sister and I have a fairly good relationship now, but my sister has developed a lot of, like, behaviors towards me that, like, my other family members do to me as well. So a lot of, like, disregarding my feelings and, you know, just expecting me to be always picking up the phone and being there for them, but, like, I don't get that support in return. So again, creating lots of boundaries with her in this last 5 years and just learning to use my voice. I don't always feel like I use it in the right way because I let things build up, but there's definitely some
So wait, you say you let things build up, and
resentment.
then do you kind of explode in anger at people?
Yeah, like, I think if somebody does something and I get hurt by it, and these are things that are, like, anybody would be hurt by, I think. I've been labeled as sensitive in my family, and I'm also, like, the scapegoat, so I get blamed for stuff. And when people do something really crappy, they just say that I'm this and I'm that and I'm too sensitive and I need to get over it and all those things. It's like a dynamic within my family that is, like, a reoccurring pattern.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
If everyone's saying it, do you think there's any truth to the fact that maybe you react more emotional? You're more, like, emotional than other people, like, in your family?
Yeah, I do feel like I am more sensitive, but I also feel like I am surrounded by a-holes.
By
Like,
what?
I know that I'm like, I thought for a really long time that it was me. And I do believe that there are particles of truth to it. But through my, like, therapy, and I work with, like, other clairvoyant people, they're like, I've had the theme come up more than a few times that, you know, you're just taking on everybody else's stuff. Like, you're trying to heal and you're trying to do all this stuff, and people want to stay within their, I would say, like, 9 out of 10 of my family members have, like, narcissistic, they're kind of narcissistic people. I don't think they're true narcissists, but I think that their coping mechanisms are just to blame and project onto everybody else. So I think I'm one of the only people in my family that actually is self-aware of my own behavior, and everybody else is just, I really do think that I'm the scapegoat, and it's just easier for everybody to, like, put the blame on me. Now, I know that I am not perfect, and my behavior is, I do things and I explode, but it's kind of like a buildup of abuse, in my opinion, like, just really terrible, saying really terrible things, doing really hurtful things, and then when I try to talk to people about it, I just get shut down. So I can't go to any of my family members with anything, and if I do, then there's just the labeling that you're you're just being sensitive, you're just being this. And, like, yeah, I am more sensitive, I think. I'm more emotionally and I'm more empathetic and stuff like that. But I'll talk to other people like, hey, like, I'll talk to a friend or my counselor who is clairvoyant as well. And I'll be like, hey, like, am I crazy for being upset about this? And they're like, no, like, that is really hurtful what your sister did. And, if I try to talk to my sister about it, she just shuts me down and says, like, my emotions don't seem to matter to anybody in my family. So, yeah.
So, why do you need your emotions to matter to them so that you feel like you're being heard?
Yeah, I want to have, I guess so I want to be heard. I want to be understood. I'm starting to care less and less about that, like, throughout my development. Over the last year especially, I've kind of just been like, whatever, just they don't care, they don't care. But I feel like carrying that throughout my childhood and my teens and my 20s has definitely built up, like, a resentment. And I want to have relationships with people that I matter. I don't want to always be the one who cares about people and not have them care about me. I want that in my life. And I don't think I've really ever truly had it. Even in my marriage, it's not, like, really like that.
How awesome. Because I'll tell you why it's awesome. It's so awesome because now you have learned that you can't, well, maybe you haven't learned, maybe you need more experience, but if you learn the lesson, you can learn that you can't get that void in you filled by people around you. You're looking out here instead of looking up here. And when I say up here, it's representational of creator, that you are, that God is you, you are God, right? And so, but you're looking out here because we all have, like, this, it's almost like a void in us that we come down here and go, how do I feed this hole? Like, how do I fill this hole? Oh, let me be with a guy. Let me find a boyfriend. Let me find a husband. Let me find another boyfriend before that one's broken up with. And let me, you know what I mean? As you said, codependent. And so, and then let me have my mom feed into that a little bit. Let me have my stepdad fill a little bit of that hole, and my sisters, and they're not. Oh, dang them. But really what you're doing is you're learning, and they are good teachers. They're teaching you, hey, don't count on us. You're looking in the wrong place. You're like, your focus is totally off. But it sounds like you keep you're kind of coming around, but it sounds like you've been looking, you keep looking there going, but I'm getting frustrated because they're not helping to fill that hole. Like, Mimi, why are they not filling that hole? But they're not capable. That's not their job. That's not what they're here for. They're not here to fill your hole. No one is. Right? Only you can do that. Only you can work on, and you're doing great by doing the meditation, because you said before we came on the recording how you're meditating like 2 hours at a time now, 2 hours a day. I mean, you started it and practicing for this session. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. You're gonna get there and you're gonna find it. But it's that kind of shift in your mind, in your perspective of, oh, yeah, I'm totally looking in the wrong place. There's no way. It doesn't even exist out here. It doesn't exist. You can have a little bit of a human form of love, but it's nothing that's going to fill this. It's not going to fill this. Some people pretend they get that all filled by people out here, and they fantasize that in movies and social media that you can get someone that's going to fill that in here for you, but it's not possible. It's just not possible. You have to make it your mission in life to learn how to totally and completely, radically love yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I've been realizing that, like, after I had my kid, for whatever reason, every relationship, I just started dropping, like, not feeding into these relationships like the same. Like I still have like phone calls with sorry. I still have like surface level, you know, we still connect. I still, you know, make efforts here and there for people, but my focus is completely on myself. And I am totally aware, and I agree 100% with you, that I've been carrying around this like idea that like, oh, if my mom just loves me, or if my dad just like wants to have these conversations with me, or if so-and-so shows up for me, that's going to make me feel better. And, you know, it's not going to. Like, I completely
So
agree with that.
the question is, how do I show up for me?
Mm,
How do
yeah.
I show up for me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am I even showing up for myself? Here we're expecting everyone else to show up for us, but are we even showing up for ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, because if we were, we wouldn't have toxic in our life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we'd be like, if you are the friend of you, pretend you're like your
Mm-hmm.
friend, you'd look at your situation and go, girl, cut them out. You'd be like, get rid of those people. Like, why would you want them? Or
Mm-hmm.
keep it to Christmas and make it a 1 hour celebration and then head them out the door, you know, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the advice you would give to someone you truly loved who was pouring her heart out to you going, this stuff hurts. And you'd be like, well, number one, they're not going to be that for you. So you just
Mm-hmm.
need to understand they're not going to be that for you. So
Mm-hmm.
where else are you going to get that? You got to get it from
Mm-hmm.
you. You got to
Mm-hmm.
know that you are whole and that you are complete. There's not that hole, a different word, hole, H-O-L-E, right? There's not that hole, H-O-L-E. There's not that hole in your chest that you think is there.
Mm-hmm.
You are already W-H-O-L-E, whole and complete.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need, that is your ego, your persona, that's Cheyenne, saying, well,
Mm-hmm.
I want this from mom. A mom should provide this. A mom should give this. A mom should have bought me clothes. A mom should have loved me more. A mom should have done this. A dad should have done this. A sister should do this. A sister should still do this. No,
Mm-hmm.
dropping all expectations
Mm-hmm.
and just showing up for yourself and not expecting anything from anyone else to show up for you in any way. And
Mm-hmm.
if they don't voluntarily on their own without you expecting them to show up a certain way, it's like going to the dinner table. You want your place at the table and you want to sit at the table with everyone else who's respectful at the table. So who are you inviting to your table and why are you inviting to your table? Because you're not
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself first. Like, what is it in
Mm-hmm.
you that's stopping you from having standards?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about expectations I have for like myself as well? Like,
Yeah.
oh, Cheyenne would answer the phone because that's what people expect me to do. People expect
And
me
what do you want? No, the
to
question is
be
always,
this
what do I
version.
want? No, the question is always, what do I want? Do I want to talk to that
Mm-hmm.
person now? Do I answer the phone? No, that doesn't bring me my highest joy. So anytime
Mm-hmm.
you have a choice between two things, so use the phone call conversation, the phone ringing, and you have caller ID. Does it bring me more joy to think about talking to this person right now, or does it bring me more joy to not talk to this person right now? Oh, it brings me more
Mm-hmm.
joy to not talk to this person right now. Great, I'm not answering it because it's
Mm-hmm.
about me. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about them.
Mm-hmm.
Does it
Mm-hmm.
bring me
I think.
joy? Now I'm on the conversation. Does it bring me joy to continue this conversation? Or am I kind of getting the life zapped out of me and it would bring me more joy to not be on this conversation any longer and to end it immediately,
Mm-hmm.
even if they think I'm rude? It would bring me more
I.
joy to end this conversation now. So therefore, I'm going to do it. Hey, mom, look, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta go. I'll catch you later. That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah. I
You
think.
don't ever need to apologize for putting yourself first to anyone. Hey, mom, I'm sorry. I gotta go. No, you're not sorry for putting yourself first. Don't ever be sorry. And this might sound cold and hard because society doesn't teach us that. Society teaches us to be nice. Nice means putting the other person first. Kindness is being kind, but putting you first. It's not being rude, going, I can't stand the way you're talking to me right now. You're such a biatch. I gotta go. Right? That would be unkind. But kindness says, you know what? I'm going to end this conversation now and I'll just catch you later. Bye. That's it.
Yeah.
That is kindness because you're saying it in a kind way that they can take it however they want. Doesn't matter. You don't owe them any explanation. Next time, hey, what was that about? I wanted to get off the phone. Like, I just want to get off the phone. You don't owe anyone an apology or an explanation. Being nice is always for the other person, and that's not putting yourself first. If you feel like, it's expected of me, I should be nice and answer their call because I know they're going through a hard time. But even though I really don't want to, because it's just literally going to sit here and make me feel yucky listening to them complain about their life, then that's not putting yourself first if you answer that call. That's putting people over you. And you know why you're doing it? You're being a people pleaser because you're trying to get them to fill that hole in you. You're trying to get love and acceptance from them because you believe you are lacking. So here's the root of it. Here's the root. You have a lack belief. You believe there's a lack of love, a lack of name anything, a lack of acceptance, a lack of love, a lack of support. Even can take it to money. It's a lack of money. It's a lack of stability. It's a lack of safety, a lack of security, a lack of protection. Lack, 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 lack. Lack is an illusion, and you came down here to earth to play in that illusion so you could experience what is it like. But then you're on this journey, so that means you're kind of getting tired of this whole lack game and you want something better. So lack doesn't exist. Meditate on that, Cheyenne.
Okay.
What is it like to know that there is no lack of anything? There is no lack of support. What does that feel like to be totally and completely supported by the universe? You know that my spirit team showed me a picture. You know, those people who walk on the high wire in the circus and they have that big giant net under them. My spirit team showed me that that is the universe. That net is the universe. That we get to go up there on that high wire and play around and have fun and experience life, but we're never going to fall and hit the ground. There's always that net. That net is the universe. And we have to know that there's not a lack of a net. There is a net. That net just is. Love just is. There is not a lack of love. Love always is. It's not an abundance. It's not a lack. It just is. Only love is real. Everything else is an illusion. Only love is real. So if only love is real, and you are and you have all the love you could ever need, you can ask yourself this in meditation. Why am I playing around in this game, in this sandbox where it feels like there's a lack of love here and a lack of support? I mean, I'm telling you, your family is an amazing teacher to bring this up, to show you what it feels like to have a lack of all of those things so that you could have the joy of rediscovering, because you're a creator, the joy of remembering, oh my gosh, there is no such thing as a lack of love and support and appreciation. And I was looking to them to get it, and they are not my source. What is my source? Source, my connection to source, me being source is my source. I just am whole. I just am abundant. I just am love. That is who I am. I'm not anything else. I am all these things that I seek. I am them. So meditating on that That'll change your life.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to have a. Yeah, I'll absolutely do that. Yeah.
So how does that hit you when I say all that stuff? What are you thinking?
It sounds completely accurate to me. Like everything you're saying, I feel like I've had these conversations with myself, with other people, that like I know I'm looking to the wrong place. And just finding a way to connect with myself and meditate on that. Yeah, I definitely need to do that. Mm-hmm. Just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, let's take a
I
little
just gotta
break so
grab
you can
some
get some water. Yes.
pleasing thing that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is like the dynamic that I've been using like my whole life. And
Mm-hmm.
I would really like, even when I develop like a new friendship, I overgive.
Yeah.
And I'm learning why I do that now. It's because I am hoping that, if I give to this person, they're going to give back in the same way. And that's not fair, to put those expectations on people.
All right.
So that dynamic, I'm becoming aware of that. And, trying to stop doing it. I'm not doing it with like my family anymore. But I feel like that's like a really deep thing in me, like from
Well,
my
and so
childhood.
just remember this too. So let me use my pens as a prop again, like that video we watched before we went on here. Let's say you're the yellow, like the sunshine, okay? And this is other people, they're pink. When you become friends with someone or partners, you have a romantic partner or whatever, you guys are connected because usually you're attracted to them as a friend or whatever because you're at the same or relatively same energetic frequency. You're kind of vibrating at the same frequency. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. But as you, Miss Cheyenne, who's on a spiritual journey, if your friend or boyfriend or whatever is not on the same spiritual journey and you're working on yourself and your frequency is going higher and higher and higher, it's just becoming lighter, I guess you would say. Um, and of course, we say not that one's any better than the other because at any frequency, we're learning amazing lessons for our journey. So it's not that one's better because this frequency for your friend down here is probably the perfect frequency for exactly what they need to do to learn in their life right now. So it's not that this is a worse frequency by any stretch of the imagination. But you're no longer interested in playing at that frequency because you're kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done with those lessons at that frequency. So I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to work on myself. And now your frequencies appear. And so you're at a different frequency. So your friend cannot raise their frequency when you guys hang out to come and meet you because they're not there. So if you want to stay friends or in a relationship, boyfriend, whatever, with this person, you have two choices. You either bring your frequency down here or you part ways. Because they can't come up here. So you can lower yours at any time. You can lower your expectations, you can lower your frequency. They just can't raise theirs unless they really want to and they work on themselves. So that's the friction, that distance between the two of you, that's the friction. It can cause friction or just dis-ease or unease. I don't mean disease in your body, but dis-ease between the two of you. And so, yeah, so just FYI, when you're on a spiritual journey, just know that people tend to come and go in your life a lot quicker than they normally would because you're not stagnant. You're constantly jumping timelines and you're constantly, it's like a train going straight. Your train isn't going straight on the tracks anymore. It's when, when they take that thing and they have the train go to the right so another train can come by and pass it, you kind of veer off. Your train is constantly veering off and it's not on the straight path anymore. So every time you learn something new, every time you grow, every time you meditate, you're jumping timelines. You're changing that trajectory and you're jumping into parallel realities. And those other people are not there anymore. So just know it can be it doesn't have to be lonely. You find your tribe, you find, your peace, you be at peace with the fact that, I choose me first, which is like what I said earlier, I did with my mom. It was like, no, I choose me first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I choose me.
Everything you just said makes so much sense. And I've been kind of having trouble understanding. Like, I went from being like a social butterfly to everybody, like tons of friends all the time, people around me, super fun to be around, lots of people in my life. And the more I work on myself, the less people I have around me. People will come in and they'll stay for a bit, and then I feel like maybe they'll just like disappear, right? And it'll be like, oh, there's a new friend. Oh, okay, that was like a couple months, and now this person is doing their own thing, and that's fine. But would it help to just view it from like an objective perspective and not like take it personally? Because
Oh, totally. And just here, grab onto this thing. People
yeah,
come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Your kids are your lifetime.
mhm,
But other than that,
mhm,
parents don't even have, some people would say family. No, it's not true.
yeah.
I mean, it depends on your standard. How high of
Well,
a
I
standard
mean,
do you want to have, right? So, and that's and no answer is incorrect. You can have whatever
yeah.
standards you want. Everyone gets to choose the standards they want. No one has to be set according to my standard. Just because mine is, you need to earn a place at the table, or I don't want you at my table. Like, I
That's
choose
my
not to have.
mentality. Yeah, that's completely my mentality right now. I'm okay with it. Like, when I do bring myself, like what you're talking about, the frequency stuff, I find myself really like uninterested in spending
Mhm.
time with people that like aren't resonating
Yeah,
with the things that I'm interested in.
yeah,
So, a lot of my friends, they drink or they party or, they get together and socialize. And I'm more interested in like going out into nature and just, I'm not even really interested in having conversations with people unless we're talking about like stuff that like we're talking about right now. I just feel like
right.
that's what I'm really interested in. That's what brings me a lot of joy. And I find I'm becoming more and more okay and like finding more like I enjoy spending time with myself more than I enjoy spending time
Yes,
with other
yes.
people.
Well,
But
and
I
I will
also
tell
really
you.
want,
I'm sorry,
yeah, but I
Cheyenne. I was
also,
just going to tell you
yeah,
brief. I'm sorry.
yeah,
We keep cutting over each other because of the lag. I'm so sorry. I was going to tell you,
no, it's okay.
um, you know who is a great conversationalist that would talk to you all like indefinitely about all this stuff? Trees.
Ooh, really?
Literally set an intention one time when you're outside meditating and talk to a tree and listen to the tree and see
Mm,
what it says to you. You will be blown away.
wow, that's really cool because I feel like nature is like I remember growing up in like the forest in Bella Coola, like super, super isolated community. And I was just out in the forest as like a little kid by myself for just years. Like I would go home, obviously, but that's where I'd go to play was this huge forest behind my house. I would connect to the animals, to nature. I felt like I was just a part of something like
Yeah.
bigger, and that's where I felt like the most at peace. And I remember that as being like the happiest time of my life, honestly. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm going back to as like an adult to try to reconnect with
Yeah.
myself is just go out in nature or just anytime I have free time, that's what I want to do. And I feel that's where I connect with myself like the most and with God.
Yeah.
the most is when I'm out in nature, and meditating out in nature is like my favorite thing to do right now as well. So, but you can actually hear them talking, like,
Oh my
that's,
gosh. Yeah, I was sitting on my front step. This was years ago, but I was sitting on my front step and I would go outside and talk to God, just look at the stars and talk to God. And I heard the tree in my neighbor's yard, like kind of kitty corner across the street from my house, start talking to me. And I was
oh my gosh,
like in
that's
my mind, it was
amazing.
telepathic, right? And I was just
Yeah,
uh,
that,
like, are you
am I
talking to
losing
me?
my mind right now?
Right? And I didn't tell anyone for years because I was just like,
Wow.
people would think I was totally crazy, but I would go out
Was
there
the
and sit.
tree,
And I don't
was it like big?
remember. I don't remember. I just remember, like, I wish I had journaled it. I really do.
Hmm.
I wish I had
I'm
journaled it.
like, wish I could know
It
what you
was just
said.
all kinds of wisdom about, I mean, I could literally sit there and ask questions about creation and, negative things and, God and whatever. And it would just sit there and just pour all this just like wisdom into me. And I would just sit there.
Wow.
Like I literally wish that I had journaled it because it was really
Yeah.
incredible stuff. But it was a
And
lot.
that,
It was coming at me so
yeah.
fast that by the time I journaled it, I probably wouldn't have remembered the first things the tree had said anyway, because it was
Right.
just so much. But I just remember it just filling my soul. And I was just
So
so
cool.
now I go out and I can have a conversation with a tree too. Like, because I know that I
Wow.
so I
Yeah.
do. Like I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I do,
Yeah.
and I'll just be outside lying under the trees in my backyard and feel their presence. And like right now we're
Yeah.
looking for a place to live, and I'm like, it's literally got to have a forest in the backyard or I'm not moving it.
Yes.
But like I'm not.
Well, yeah, that is so cool. When I meditate in my backyard, we have a big forest like
Nice.
off my back deck, and it's amazing. And I swear to God, when I was meditating yesterday and I opened my eyes, I felt like it was in a different dimension. Like it's hard to explain it. It was kind of a visual, but it was just like, it was really ethereal. Like it felt like I was somewhere else. Like it felt like I was just picking up on like a different dimension. It was so strange. Like I've had that happen a few times when I've been meditating and I open my eyes and I'm like, it looks like, it's hard to explain, but it's like, it just felt like a different place. Like
Wow.
not so much like the physical, like you're seeing it with your eyes,
Right.
but it's just like you're picking up on something else that's there. I don't know. It's really cool. But yeah.
That is so cool. Well,
Hmm.
so yeah, if you want to have a great conversation with someone who is on your level, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't worry about not having
Yeah.
people. Go talk to the trees because they will just sit there
Hmm.
and because everything is creator. And
Yeah.
so I'm just going to pour into you the wisdom from the universe and the
Hmm.
peace, the calm. And when you
Hmm.
connect to it, oh my gosh, it's so peaceful.
Hmm.
So, and then having your bare feet be on the roots of a tree and your back against a tree is something that can give you a ton of healing, physical healing, by the way,
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
will
Okay.
absorb the negative, the low frequency emotions from your body,
Hmm.
and they'll literally transmute it for you down into Mother Earth. So putting your
Oh
feet on
wow.
the root and your back against the tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
So like if
cool.
you have like a
Yeah.
bikini top or something like that, where your back can actually be like, against the tree.
Touching it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
touching it.
super cool. I'm definitely gonna start doing that because I love going out in nature and meditating, but it'd be cool to have like a different kind of like tactic when I'm doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
sounds
Being
really
on the roof.
cool.
So, but yeah, that's what I've heard from several people's higher selves about getting some physical healing for their bodies to go do that. And it also helps
Yeah.
with like emotional stuff, like trapped emotions,
Mhm.
if things like that. It just helps.
Mhm.
It's almost like going out there and they're acting as a drain. And then, of course, we want to thank the tree for doing that for us. Like set the
Mhm.
intention that that's
Mhm.
what's going to happen. And then thank the tree for, helping to do that, to help transmute that
Yeah.
energy and to provide that
Mhm.
service.
Yeah, and I mean like Mother Nature, like we're her babies, right?
Yeah.
So obviously that, makes total sense.
Yeah. So do you feel like well, we need to work on self-love and self-worth. That if you're going to do anything in your life, I'm telling you right now, those should be your priorities.
Yeah,
Self-love, self-worth, because that's going to be what's going to propel you to the next level.
well, yeah, so the physical health, because it's such a everyday issue, like I wake up and it's just there and I am getting better, but like the second one was emotional and mental health, and I wrote down self-worth, self-love, negative beliefs about myself. A lot of it comes down to me not thinking that I deserve something or that I can acquire something, or like you were saying, a lack of everything, like the feeling, the belief of, and I'm sure that all of that has to do with my health issues too.
Oh, no, guaranteed. 100% all this is underlying, and the unresolved emotions, yeah, you have
Mhm.
regarding mom and the rest of the family, and having
Mhm.
expectations of them. See, what it is your resistance to the way things are is what's causing you dis-ease in your body. So
Mhm.
you having resistance to mom being the way she is instead of totally accepting mom the way she is, whether you
Mhm.
keep her in your life or you don't, it doesn't matter. But having total acceptance for her either way,
Yeah.
okay? And then
Mhm.
that is you not having that is causing you dis-ease in your body.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
not being okay with dad, your biological father abandoning you.
Mhm.
That non-acceptance of that is the friction that's causing you dis-ease.
Mhm. Yeah. And I know that, like, I totally believe that we choose our contracts, our soul contracts, our
Well,
everything
either
that,
you do or your spirit team or your soul team,
yeah.
your spirit council does. Yeah. Maybe not
Yeah.
you personally, but at least your spirit council does.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to, like, I've heard that, and I believe it to be true. So I want to get to a point where I'm like, you know what, even though this negative stuff is happening, there's a reason for it, there's a lesson, and I want to be in that state of mind and not so much in the other state of mind, which is like affected by, like, just angry or resentful, or like just look at life with the silver lining. Like, I feel like I used to be like that when I was younger. When something bad would happen, I'd be like, you know what, there's a reason for this. And slowly over time, it's changed. And I want to
Mhm.
get back to that place where I trust that things are supposed to be the way that they are for a reason.
Mhm.
um, and just to be more fluid with it and to accept things that I can't change. Those are that's what I really want to work on, and just embody that more instead of being angry at every little thing all the time. You know. Um,
Well, anger is only your resistance to the way things are. So
mhm.
when you're angry, it's a you issue.
Mhm.
So, like I have a
Mhm.
theta healing class going on right now, which would be amazing. Like you should watch my video on theta healing and think about doing my
Mhm.
September and October classes because it is life changing. Like
Mhm.
you will dig up things from your life and heal yourself faster than you ever thought you could. It is
Okay.
amazing. But anyway, so I have these ladies in the class and I'm like, the finger always points right back here. Always.
Mhm.
Always,
Mhm.
always, always for every feeling and emotion we have. It's not, why don't you understand me? I feel misunderstood. You need to
Mhm.
understand me. I have a right to express myself. You do have a right to express yourself. You can express yourself. But you expecting other people to understand you, that's a you issue. Why do
Mhm.
I have a need to feel like other people have to understand me? Because
Mhm.
I'm not valid otherwise? I'm not validated?
Mhm.
I am validated. I'm validated because I exist.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? That's an us issue.
Yeah.
If you're angry
Yeah.
about someone, that's a you issue. So the question you always ask is, and I do this all the time for myself, is what is it in me that needs to be healed?
Mhm.
That particular thing angered me. What is
Mhm.
going on in me that I would get angry about that? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I'll tell you an example, really quick example to illustrate. So I was at a soccer game, at a soccer tournament with my son, and the people sitting next to me were talking, and it was like all during like election time, and they were talking about political stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. No, 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 no. It wasn't. It wasn't. That was a different time. The time I want to specifically talk about was about the, the poke in the arm thing. So they were talking about how they were going to exclude certain family members from a gathering they were having because they didn't have the poke in the arm. And that how dare they, and why do they not? And they're awful, worthless people for not having the poke in the arm. And but it wasn't just them saying that. It was they went on and on and on and on about it and just degrading every single person they knew in their family that didn't have the poke in the arm, and just talking trash about all these people and just negative, judgmental, negative, 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 negative. And I sat there saying, I think I'm going to get up and kill him, because I'm sitting here trying to enjoy this soccer game, watching my son, and they're talking so loud. And I was sitting here
Mhm.
first. There's no place else on the line to even move to because it was like solid with parents. I couldn't
Mhm.
go and still watch the game from anywhere. And anyway, so I was ready to kill him. And I was like, okay, I sat there getting angrier and angrier. So it's a me issue, right? I am
Mhm.
resisting accepting them for being who they are and where they are at. I was resisting.
Mhm.
I didn't like the way they were being and their negativity,
Mhm.
right? Whichever side they fell on, I just didn't like their negative talk. And so I put on some really loud heavy metal and I just blared it. But I sat there seething the whole time. And I couldn't even enjoy my son's soccer game after that because of me,
Mhm.
because of the way I was reacting. So I
Mhm.
got in the car and I sat down and I said, Team, what is it in me that needs to be healed so that that doesn't happen again? So that I don't get angered by stuff like that. And my spirit
Mhm.
team told me instantly, it was like, you're angry because you can't control them and the
Mhm.
way they
Mhm.
think and the way they are. You are
Mhm.
not totally loving and accepting of them being on their journey exactly where they are, and just knowing that's just where they're at. I'm there now.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm there now,
Mhm.
but I wasn't
Mhm.
at that time. And it was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
you're not accepting of that's just where they are. Like,
Mhm. Yeah,
it's just where they
totally.
are. You know what I mean?
And like,
I could have put my earbuds on and been totally fine and not still been seething in anger, because do I have to listen to that? Oh no, of course I don't. I could have put my earbuds on,
mhm.
listened to music, but then been in my peace about it. But I wasn't. I put my earbuds on and I was still like, "Argh," just
Mhm.
ready to go
Mhm.
kill them.
Mhm.
So does that make sense? So the anger is always an us issue.
Mhm. 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 That makes total sense, and it actually sounds like my husband. My husband, I feel like he's always in a state like a meditate. Like he's kind of the opposite of me. He's not like super emotionally, like he doesn't get triggered very easily. He's always in control. And whatever is going on around him, it just like doesn't phase him. Like he can just like glide through life, and things happen for him like he doesn't even have to try, it seems like, and things just work out because he's in this place of non-resistance, and it's just kind of amazing. He's probably teaching me so much, right? Like I'm on this spiritual journey trying to like do all this stuff, trying to get to this place that I feel like he just already is like at, which is just kind of funny. I'm just realizing this
Yeah.
through this, right? Like if there are people, he's always trying to tell me like how to deal with my mom. Like just don't worry about it. Just she is what she is. Just go on with your life and all this stuff. And
Exactly.
I'm always getting mad at him about all these little things that he is or isn't doing. But he's like kind of just like, it's like the universe is just like, be more like him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
meh, 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 like nagging
Isn't
at
he a
him all
great
the
teacher?
time.
Isn't he a great
He's a
teacher? Well,
great
because you're
teacher.
okay. So let me loving you call you. Let me lovingly give you a label. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you a control freak. Okay.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
99% of the population
Makes
is a
sense.
control freak. Okay.
Yeah.
Your husband doesn't sound like he's a control freak, right? So he's a good teacher. But
Yeah.
we want to control because it makes us feel safe.
Mhm.
If we know, like, you should act like this, and you should be here, and you should be in this little box, and you should be in this little box, and you should look like this, and you should act like this, then my world feels less chaotic. And
Mhm.
I feel like I can have peace. If you all will just act this way, then I can be in peace
Mhm.
and I can feel
Yeah.
safe. And that's
Yeah.
not what we're here for. We
Yeah.
can't control others, and that is not our job to be the
Yeah.
master commander of everyone around us
Mhm.
by trying to manipulate. Oh, listen to this, trying to manipulate other people with our actions. Do you know how
Mhm.
manipulative it is when for us to get angry? It's so manipulative because we are
Mhm.
trying to manipulate someone else's behavior through us getting angry to make them change how they're acting. And
Mhm.
that's manipulation.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Like if we're just
Definitely.
calling
Like.
a spade, right? We're just calling a
Mhm.
spade.
Yeah. No. I
Manipulative.
completely see that, and I would love to be. I want to be that person, and I want to get up in the morning and not worry about, like, if my husband got up at the time he said he was going to get up, or if the garbage has been taken out, or if it's not been taken out, or if Aaron's brushed his teeth before, like, there's all these little tiny things, and it's just like, if I could just let go. Chris does the morning routine. My husband does the morning routine. If he's going to do the morning routine, I should just let him do the morning routine and not get all
Try
up
to
in
control.
there and
Right.
try to control
Try
it.
to
Because
control and micromanage. Right.
because if I didn't have his support, then I would have to do it, and then I'd have to do the evening routine, and I wouldn't have. So just accepting his support and accepting the support that people have to offer. It may not be how I would do it, but I mean, if I didn't have that, I would be a lot less. I would be in a lot worse of a place, not
Right.
having that support.
Right. So being in
Um,
gratitude, right? That's what you're saying. It sounds like you're
yeah,
saying
being
being
in
in
gratitude.
gratitude.
I want to be in gratitude more often, like all the time. Just I want to wake up and feel grateful. I feel like I've been in this really resentful, negative place because Chris wasn't the way that I thought he was going to be after we got married, or my parents, my family, like all this kind of stuff. So I definitely want to get to that place, and accepting, like, one thing that happens. Like, we live in a really small community, right? So if I go to the store and I might bump into my mom at the store, or I might bump into her at the coffee shop, and she's acting all out there. Maybe her behavior is, questionable, or it's making me feel uncomfortable, or I feel like other people are judging, and I'm like, oh, they're judging her, so they're judging me. How do I, like, let go of not caring about that stuff? Because it's to the point where I get triggered, and then I don't want to go out to these places because I'm worried I'm going to bump into this and the situation's going to happen. But I want to not care. I want to just be like, whatever, she's doing her thing. It has nothing to do with me, or who cares what these people think? Like, I used to be like that. And I used to be like that growing up as a teenager in my 20s. I didn't give a hoot what anybody thought. And I'm just trying to figure out, when did that change? How did that change? And how do I change, like, how I feel about that?
Yeah. What is it in her that needs to be healed so she doesn't care what other people think?
Hmm.
These are good meditation topics too. All these questions I'm asking, these are really good
Mm-hmm.
meditation topics.
Yeah.
So in theta
Yeah.
healing, you're going to learn, if you join my class, in September,
Yeah.
you will learn how to dig into these and get answers.
Mm-hmm.
Like you,
Mm-hmm.
not in addition, you'll get like healing that probably I walked out of the first 4 levels, which is 10 days over every other weekend. You know, we do 3 days, 3 days, 2 days, 2 days, and it's 10 total
Mm-hmm.
days. I walked out of those 10 days saying to myself, oh my gosh, because I was in the middle of like a crash course type thing of healing myself. Like I was big time into healing. I was like meditating 2 hours, like you. I was doing all kinds of healing work. Um, I walked out of those classes saying, I know for a fact it would have taken me about 2 years on my own to get all the healing I got in those classes. Like it was amazing, the healing that I got
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to heal myself going forward for the rest of my life. That's why I teach it now,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
um, asking these kind of questions and just hearing what you hear, even if you're talking to the tree can tell you, because the tree is creator consciousness. It's all God. It's all God, whether it's from your guide or your higher self or a tree, you know, or a plant.
Mm-hmm.
It's all creator consciousness talking to you. It's all
Mm-hmm.
creator. So you're going to get wisdom either way. You might just get a little bit different viewpoints, but you're going to get wisdom regardless. But
Mm-hmm.
asking the questions like this, like, what is it in me that needs to be healed? That I care what other people think. Like, why do I care? It makes me feel less
Mm-hmm.
than. Do you need
Yeah.
to go get some more cough medicine?
Yeah. Let me do that.
Okay, let me run. And I'm going to run to the restroom too.
Touch on was, and I'm sure like once we go into the session, things will probably just come up, like things will come up that need to be dealt with, I'm sure. But I
Mhm.
did want to just touch on some like I would say growing up, I had quite a bit of trauma. My sister and I basically watched, it was dark, but we were there when it happened. So my mom was assaulted and stabbed like 27 times or something like that in the back by somebody who was supposed to be a friend. We were being babysat at her house, and my mom came home to get us. So that happened when we were like 5. And then like we watched the whole thing go down, and we were like there when it happened and everything. I don't remember any of it. My memories, like I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood, but my sister remembers it. And then we lost our dad when we were 6. And then I had more recently an amputation on my right hand. I got my finger caught in some machinery and it got pulled off. And then recently I had a surgery that like I feel like I almost died from. It went septic, and it was really like I was in the hospital for like a week and all this kind of stuff. So I want to address those because I don't think that I've processed any of that stuff properly that's happened, and I would really like to clear all that stuff out and just, you know, I think my coping mechanisms were to bury everything because I don't remember any of the really crazy stuff that happened. But I always looked at myself as, oh, you know, I can handle it. I'm good. I don't need, you know, any therapy or anything like that from any of the stuff that happened. But as I'm older, I feel like there's probably some buried energetic stuff maybe that could be kind of needs to be cleared out probably.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I got it all down here.
Yeah.
It was a more recent surgery, you said?
The surgery I had of a breast like reduction, and yeah, it was probably 2 years ago, but
Mm.
I was in bed rest for like 4 months healing after it went septic, and I had to go get rushed down to a different hospital, and nobody said like you almost died, but like I feel like I was very close to dying. And And then recently as well, I got ill with the thing that everybody was getting ill from. And I feel like I was probably like, I don't know, I feel like I was kind of close because I have like all these health issues. I've got autoimmune diseases, so I have a compromised immune system. So I feel like there's been a couple close calls, and I really want to just flush all that stuff out and like start fresh. I don't want to carry around those imprints. But I will say one thing, from the surgery that I got, I meditated for like 4 months. And I feel like I stepped into a different, I think the universe was like, you need to slow the F down because you are just go, 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 go. And I feel like a lot of these things that have happened were like kind of changed my trajectory. So when I was in bed rest, I literally just meditated for like 4 months. And I felt like a huge shift in like my energy and, like something good came out of it. And it was really funny because one day I was sleeping outside on my deck and I was meditating just because I couldn't do anything else. So I was just like, the universe was like, if you're not going to start meditating, like I'm going to make you. Like that's what I feel like happened. They're like, okay, like you won't stop. You won't get on this
bodies, like our bodies can get us to shut right down for sure.
Right?
Slow down.
But I do feel like, you know, they're like, you know, you need to go onto this other timeline and this other path and you're not doing it. So like, we're just going to like make it happen. I don't know. That's kind of what it felt like. But,
I see that stuff happen all the time, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me if that was, you're probably very much intuiting it correctly. So,
just because of what happened afterwards, I was like, oh, like now I'm meditating like all day. But it was funny because I was like sleeping out on my deck and I felt like one day I just woke up and it was like in a different, like I don't know, I just woke up and it was just sensed, I don't know how to describe it, but it just felt like I was in a different, I don't know if you call it a timeline or a parallel density or whatever.
A parallel reality, like right?
A parallel reality, maybe, or just from all the meditating I had been doing. I'm not too sure, but it definitely felt like something had shifted big time. So, and then I just wanted to kind of cover all. I think Well,
we're going to go into your health issues.
Okay. So there was just some.
We already have a lot here to cover, a lot. So, because we're not going to be able to touch on everything. That's why I tell people, like, at least step 2 for this is to learn theta healing, so that you can get healing in class and learn how to do it on your own afterwards. Because we won't always have a teacher or a psychic or a hypnotherapist or whatever next to us all the time. So that's why we need to. I mean, healing is a self journey, right? It's a journey for ourselves. And so we need to learn how to heal ourselves. And something like this is an incredible boost, like a way for us to get going on it and kind of give us that head start, so to speak. But it's not a magic pill. And obviously we can't touch every single thing in one session. And it would be overwhelming for you anyway to do so.
Yeah. And also it's like, I feel like it's kind of like a stepping stone or a conduit to step into becoming your own healer instead of always needing
That's
external.
Exactly. You are your self-healer. Yes.
Yeah. So
100%.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like everything that I've done, like all of the health stuff, all of the healing, all of this, that, the other thing, like it's all self-driven, like.
Okay, so hypothyroidism, and this is from a theta healing book called Diseases and Disorders, the class. I took this advanced class. It says, let me see where it says about that. There's a lot in here about it, but I'm going to look at the beliefs. Most of the belief systems of hypothyroidism pertain to how well the person expresses themselves and communicates with others. They will be fatigued and irritable, so you must be very careful and gentle when you work on their beliefs. They have the belief that what they say is not going to be heard. Oh, there you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling
Yeah.
like you're not being heard, and that's what's affecting your thyroid. Your thyroid is letting you
Mm-hmm.
know that you feel like you're not being heard.
Mm-hmm.
They have a tendency to overcorrect, which means that by the time they decide to express themselves, they say too much, or I'll add, or we say it in anger.
Mm-hmm.
In hypothyroidism, the perceptions are expanded more than normal. Little things that are everyday occurrences for most of us are terrible ordeals for people with hypothyroidism. They often become compulsive, consumed with feelings, and have a difficult time dealing with everyday affairs. The person it can be overwhelmed by small things.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of downloads you're supposed to give them. This is going to be too much to fit in one session because it's literally like an entire page of downloads. But let me add a few here. Actually, let me find something really quickly. Thyroid is. Because you said hypothyroidism, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just working on a couple questions kind of while I'm on this page here.
No worries.
Yeah, affirmations are going to be really good for you to start doing affirmations and making a bunch of really good affirmations for yourself. Just keep them simple.
Okay.
Affirmations like I am in perfect balance. I am whole. I am complete. I am connected to the creator. I know how to create a life of joy. Um, I know how to live without being over or under aggressive. I am connected. I think I already said I'm connected to the creator. It's easy to have energy. I know what it feels like to have energy every day. With each passing day, I become happier and joy surrounds me.
Okay. Will
You know,
these be like, should I write these down,
oh
these
yeah.
affirmations?
Yep, you're going to write them down. Write them down and oh, I don't have my note cards. They're in the kitchen. I usually have note cards on my computer in front of me, but I write them on 3x5 note cards and I carry those things all over with me. I also have an affirmation notebook. I don't use it
Okay.
anymore like I used to when I was really working on reprogramming my mind, because now I know how to, not to say it wouldn't benefit me. I freaking love affirmations. And I drink them in every time I hear one. I'm like, oh yes, that's for me. And I just like energetically drink it in, you know? But
Yeah.
it's really, really good for when you're trying to reprogram your mind and think from a higher perspective instead of letting your ego mind, your persona, the Cheyenne personality run the show. This is
Hmm.
how you get out of that letting Cheyenne run the show and become more of your higher self.
Okay.
Because your higher self thinks from a higher perspective is what we call it, the higher self. It's an aspect of our soul. You watched that video before we started. It's an
Yes.
aspect of our
Yeah.
soul, us, but we call it higher because it doesn't have any ego impacting it or affecting it. It doesn't have the ego personality of Cheyenne
Right.
affecting. Give me one, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
But yeah, you're
I'm
gonna,
just writing down a bunch of affirmations.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can write down this one too if you want. I know how to create a life of respect. You will get a ton of affirmations if you take theta healing, because that's all it is downloading these different beliefs into you. But the other way you can quote unquote download them into you is just constantly repeating them and reprogramming your mind with them. I know
Hmm.
how to create
Okay.
a life of joy. I have good communication skills. I know what it feels like to have energy. I do have energy. I am energetic. But
Okay.
I used to carry a affirmation notebook around with me everywhere. And every minute I had, I would be grabbing them out of my notebook, opening my notebook and just drinking them in and feeling them.
Can you do it like in a meditative state and just do them in a regular
100%.
state where you're just doing it in the morning or before you go to
Yeah.
bed kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just be sitting there like I was working as a court reporter at the time. I would sit there because you're sitting there listening to this trial or whatever, right? And so I would have it open on my desk so that every tiny little pause, one person's getting off the witness stand, going back to their seat, another person's coming up. I'm not reporting. I'm like focused on my affirmation journal, and I am drinking it. And I would even have a big notebook with me because I'm taking notes while I'm doing court reporting anyway, so they didn't know what I was writing. So I would
Right.
have another notebook with me, and I'd be writing the affirmation over and over and over and over and over, just writing it, writing it, writing it, writing it, just really getting it ingrained, getting it ingrained. But I mean, every minute I had, I would carry those 3x5 note cards in my car with me. And every time there was a red light, I would keep them on my dash, like so they were facing me. And every time I was at a red light, I'd sit there and read it.
Okay.
I mean,
And you can just
you can go to YouTube and find affirmation um, recordings, but they're not your affirmations. There's this, you know what I mean? It's like it's not going to be
so
personal to what really, really resonates with you right at that moment and what you want for you. So I just like putting my own
you could
together.
just make your own up, and like I could even meditate and be like, what are some really good affirmations
Affirmations
that
for
I
me. Yeah,
need?
they'll come to your head.
Mhm.
They'll come to your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's funny when I was meditating, uh, for the session, and my pain points like changed a little bit as I was meditating. Like my intuition was like, actually, maybe this instead, right? Like it would like evolve sort of when I'm
Yeah.
meditating about it. Yeah.
I want to look up, I'm going to grab another book right there off my bookshelf for PCOS. I know I've looked up a PCOS before, but I just don't remember because it's been a while. Um,
Polycystic, yeah,
yeah, no. I'm
polycystic
going to look it up in this.
ovarian.
I'm going to look it up in this book. This one is called
Oh, right.
Metaphysical Anatomy.
Right. The
Uh,
metaphysical causes.
yeah, Metaphysical Anatomy. So polycystic ovary, LMNOP. 595. Because I don't think PCOS is in my disease and disorder book. I'm gonna look, but I don't think it's in there. It just says pregnancy related problems. Yeah. So, okay. So polycystic ovarian syndrome is, okay. You feel blocked when connecting to your feminine side. It's one thing to show it or project it, but it's an entirely different scenario to feel it and be connected to it. You have had periods in your life that you have had to be more masculine. You are often relied on to cope with very stressful circumstances. You may have seen your mother become helpless. You want to go get a drink?
No, it's just I've got water here. It's just
Oh,
like
okay.
this non-stop thing. Of course, it's like the day that we have our. We're just gonna have to suffer through.
Yeah.
I've literally drank like almost this entire bottle of drop
Oh my
cough
gosh.
syrup.
You may have seen your mother become helpless in her life due to too many expectations and responsibilities. This may be the result of challenging relationship issues, jealousy towards a child, or not being able to cope with her life. And mom sounds like mom just couldn't cope with her life, and that's what led her to the whole drug and addiction. And now I
Yeah,
can almost guarantee you she's got all kinds of entities around her. And so now it's even harder for her to even think about breaking out of it.
that's what
So
I thought. I yeah,
yeah, she's just kind of made
yeah,
her bed, and that's fine. It's mom's journey. It's whatever,
yeah, yeah.
It's just she's got to really want help in order to be able to break away from that.
So when like I've actually asked my like I want to say she's psychic, but she's my counselor as well. About her possibly having entity attachments, which is probably super, super common for like almost everybody, I think. But because she just doesn't seem like she is her anymore. She seems like a different personality almost.
Yeah, yeah,
So
she's almost guaranteed. Yeah, to get
yeah.
that hard into addiction and just not being
Mhm.
able to be away from it, especially at her age. That's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same with my mom. So she's got alcohol addiction.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, there's your journey. Go have your journey. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not like well, I was going to say, it's not like I abandoned my mom. My mom's not my responsibility. A mom is
Yeah.
never our responsibility, by the way, unless you
Yeah.
specifically have a contract, which you would have made that to probably learn that no one else is your responsibility. But,
Yeah.
or some other agreement for whatever reason, could be a million reasons. But
Mhm.
and my mom is not my responsibility, but she's got my sister anyway. Like my half
Yeah.
sister is younger
Yeah.
because both me and my full blood sister, we both have cut my mom off. But my half
Yeah.
sister is still very close to my mom and she'll always be there for my mom and take care of her. So I guess my
Like
mom
a
made sure that
codependent.
having child number 3 that she's got someone.
Yeah, they have that codependent thing
Yeah.
going on, right? Um,
Yeah. Well, I
and
don't think my sister does. My mom is very codependent. Yeah.
yeah, and I had like my other um, energy worker psychic tell me that I was asking like, I want to know what my lesson is to learn from all this, and she said that what she thought it was going to be was to learn to put myself first and not to try to always
Yeah, it's
fix
self-love. That's
other
when you
people.
put yourself first, it's self-love. Yes,
Yeah,
100%. Self-love is
yeah,
obviously one of your lessons. Self-love, self-worth,
yeah.
boundaries, not people-pleasing. But again, people-pleasing
Mhm.
goes hand in hand with loving yourself because you're saying
Yeah.
yes to you. When you say no to something else, it's not that so instead of looking at it from a point of lack, it's not saying no to someone else and creating lack in their life. It's it's just saying yes to you.
Right.
You're
That
not
make I like.
creating
Yeah.
you're not creating lack in anyone else's life because there is no such thing as lack. But if they perceive it as lack, then that's their lesson.
Mhm. I
You're
definitely
just
have
saying
been
yes to you.
thinking of it that way though. Like every time I say no, I feel like I'm taking something away from somebody. Like, no, you can't see my son right now because you're messed up. No, I don't want you to come over to my house. No, I don't want to go and have lunch with you because I don't feel safe around you right now. I always feel so guilty about that because I feel like I'm taking something from them. But I like what you said about I'm just giving myself. I'm just giving to myself. I'm not taking from anybody. I'm just providing what I
Yeah.
need. Yeah,
Yes.
I like that mentality. That's way healthier.
Yeah, think if everybody would put themselves first and put their needs and their life and their best interests first, like this would be a perfect world. Because nobody would be looking to anyone else to fill any perceived voids or quote unquote needs that they have. Because they would realize that they already are whole and complete and that they can be the source of provision for everything they need. Love, support, being heard, anything. And so it's not your responsibility to make up for their lack belief. You're not their lack belief maker-upper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you could just look at them basically and say in your mind, I'm not your source. Source is your source. I'm not your source.
And the one thing that's really got me seeing it like that is now they're looking at my son as a source for their happiness.
Because he's
right.
Because they're looking at him as a source of energy, and they're looking
and it
outside
really
of them.
that is when it started becoming very obvious to me. Okay, you only feel good when you get to see my son every week. Oh, you feel depressed because I'm not letting you see him. He is not your tool to acquire how you feel about yourself. And that's when I really started being like, no, hell no. I may have let you do that to me for however many years, allowed it to happen. But when it comes to my kid, that's where I draw the line, because he's not responsible for making you happy, right? I feel like I was put in that situation and I developed that relationship to somehow be a source of like support for my mom. And that's where the masculine energy, instead of being taken care of, being supported in my family like a child should be, I became the caregiver role. And I still am doing it in my other relationships. And I want to be in my feminine, energy where I can just wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to hang out in the field and friggin' collect flowers or something. And whatever, all the husband can do all the masculine stuff, the planning and the earning and the whatever, right? But yeah, I definitely understand everything you're reading about PCOS. I would say that is accurate.
So when we talk about PCOS, let me put these questions down here. Give me a second, though. Okay, when we talk about PCOS, do you have cysts in your ovarian follicles?
Yes.
Okay. Then, and do you have problems with your adrenal glands and liver?
Yeah.
And, of course, ovaries, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I have a long list of questions here that I had made up before for someone else with PCOS. So I'm copying those questions and using those. And then you don't have regular menstrual cycles.
I do now, but it was only after doing a 6-month program with a nutritionist and working on my nervous system and a whole protocol. It was a holistic nutritionist that I hired. Now I have regular periods, but I didn't for the majority of my adult life.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'll take that last question.
So yeah.
Here we go. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. So then it says, you often feel challenged by your sexuality. It feels safer to be more masculine. So that side is more noticeable. You don't feel beautiful and don't enjoy your natural beauty. You may have witnessed women or female authorities being demeaned or belittled, so you made an association with femininity and disrespect. Men were valued more, therefore you chose to be more masculine. In order to do so, you had to work on building a tough exterior for protection. Okay, so here's where in your meditation you get to work on there is no lack of safety, so therefore I don't need protection.
Okay.
Okay, because if there is no lack of safety or being unsafe, you don't need to be protected. So I was listening to this teacher last night. His name is Bentinho Massaro. He has a thing out on YouTube, and it was talking about being unsafe. And he said, you create the energy of unsafe or unsafety when you create the energy of unsafety. It doesn't exist until you create it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we're creators. We can create anything we want.
It's crazy how accurate that is. Because I actually went into carpentry so I could feel more valued as like a person. And like, it's just so crazy because like, that it's just insane. Like my brother was shown how to go to work with my dad since he was like 11, but I didn't get taught anything from my dad because I was a woman. And you teach the son, obviously the dad teaches the son carpentry, but why didn't you teach me carpentry? So then I went into carpentry when I was 19 to be like, I can do this too. And I can't do it anymore because I'm all friggin' bunged up. And I'm like, okay, I've been doing, construction for the last like 16 years or whatever. So it's just crazy, like, to me, how accurate that all is.
Yep. Wow. Okay. Let's see what else it says. It says that there is likely ancestral trauma related to poison that was used to murder family members.
Wow.
Isn't that great? No, hold on. That's so wrong. It's so wrong. I'm on the wrong page. I was like,
Okay.
wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
How?
Hold on. No. Okay, but I'll tell you what that's from. Oh, that talks about poisoning, that it's likely an ancestral thing continuing on. Okay, so never mind. I was on the wrong page. Okay, that was bad.
What was that for, though?
For poisoning. Yeah, if you are being
Right.
poisoned by something, then it's likely an ancestral thing. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You may be confused as to what your actual role in the family should be. Looking back, you realize you've been playing the role of victim due to circumstances which required you to step into certain roles in which you felt trapped. You have a high level of responsibility from a very young age. You often feel challenged by your sexuality. It feels safer to be masculine, so that side's more noticeable. We read that. You may feel that everything has to be hard and challenging. If it's too easy, you will fail. That would be something for you to meditate on because we're not going to be able to cover all this in a session. Do I make life more challenging than it needs to be? Well, it could be. And if so, why? Do I make life more challenging than it needs to be? And if so, why do I do that? That's a good one. Oh, explore ancestral trauma related to wives being abandoned or left by their parents. This may have caused you to take on more traditionally masculine roles, jobs, and responsibilities, but that may be also linked to your dad abandoning you, like feeling abandoned by your dad. Again, you had a stepdad, but you were focused on a lack. I have a lack of a biological dad there instead of focusing on the gratitude of the universe providing you another dad.
Mhm.
We're focused
And
on the
also,
lack.
I'm curious if within the family, if like there's a reoccurring pattern too. Like my grandma's mom died, and then her dad remarried to like a really abusive woman, and then they were like sent away. And then my dad, kind of the same thing, like my biological dad and
Right.
my stepdad as well. His mom actually died from like taking pills too. So it's just interesting, like how it can like go down in like generations too, like similar things.
I would explore that in meditation, and you
Yeah,
can resolve that and break that generational pattern for your family in meditation.
yeah,
You just declare
yeah,
that it's done, and then send
yeah,
healing to everyone along the line, up and down. But let me read
yeah.
on. Um, It said there is a history of sexual abuse in the ancestry line. This type of trauma may have encouraged females to develop qualities that are more masculine in order to keep themselves safe from harm. Resentment and anger toward men, along with a deep need to protect themselves. This is related to ancestral trauma.
I don't
Feeling
know
the,
of any sexual abuse that like
yeah,
I've never heard of anything happening, but you never know, right?
right. Feeling belittled and degraded by a female. Why? What happened that made you feel this way? Because you could be dealing with feelings of from mom of feeling belittled or degraded, like, or even unimportant, like your sister getting the clothes and not you. What must change in your life in order for you to embrace your femininity? Explore any resentment toward your mother. You may feel that she failed in her role and you had to step in. That's a big one.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's expectations, remember? Looking
Yeah.
outside instead of saying, gosh, obviously I'm here on a spiritual journey, so I'm probably an older soul than my mom. My mom is may or may not be a younger soul, but she chose in this lifetime to have an experience of experiencing darkness with dark entities. Okay, so my mom chose to have that experience. Hey, that's cool because can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So by mom choose, okay, so let me say this. A lot of souls will choose to be possessed and have dark entities possess them, full time or, come in and out, whatever, because they want to experience darkness. Because when we are on the other side, we are always light. And we have
Mhm.
to go into lives on planets darker than Earth or Earth, you know what I mean? To
Mhm.
experience darkness because they just want to know what it tastes like. If you don't know what chocolate pudding tastes like, someone can try to describe what chocolate pudding tastes like, and you will have no idea what chocolate pudding tastes like until you actually taste it
Mhm.
yourself. You will have
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
So your mom didn't
Mhm.
know what chocolate pudding tasted like. Let's say this. Your mom didn't know what chocolate pudding tasted like, so she wanted to find out what it tasted like. So she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go down there, I'm gonna eat some chocolate pudding." And here you're like
Mhm.
all mad and upset that mom's trying to find out what chocolate pudding tastes like. But that's what she
Mhm.
wanted to do. She wanted to find out what
Mhm.
chocolate pudding tasted like. And she knew that you would want to learn how to fill that imaginary void in you from someone other than people out here. So, hey, she's the perfect example because she's not going to be emotionally available to you to help fill that hole that you feel. So, hey, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is perfect. Like, you're going to not be there
Mhm.
for me. Like, you're going to be off chasing chocolate pudding by dealing with these, dark entities and it's going to be great because you won't be available to me. So I can't depend on you. I can't feel heard, supported, loved by you. I'm going to have to find that on my own by myself. So, like, yeah, let's do
Mhm.
this, mom,
Mhm.
soul, whatever your soul name is.
Mhm.
Let's do this. And I'll call you mom and I'll be your daughter. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is like a perfect pair. Okay, perfect. So
Mhm.
we don't think about those things.
Mhm.
That's thinking as a higher self.
Mhm.
You have expectations of mom or husband or sister or father or anyone else, you're not even remotely thinking about their journey and what they're here to do and what they're here to learn. And they've got their own agenda of things that they're trying to follow and do, and the
Mm-hmm.
agreement you have with them on what kind of teacher they're going to be for you. So our
Mm-hmm.
ego doesn't think about any of that. And instead, it just goes, you should have been like this. You should have
Mm-hmm.
been like this, and you should do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if we can just look at
Yeah,
everyone
absolutely.
else and go, yeah, I don't know what's in your laundry basket. You've got all kinds of mixed colors in there and dirty whites, and like you've got all kinds of stuff going on there, but that's part of your journey. That's all your dirty
Mm-hmm.
laundry. Like that's none of my business. Your journey
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is not my business.
Mm-hmm.
Not my journey, not my business. I don't need to try to figure you out. It's not my
Mm-hmm.
job to save you. It's not my job to help you unless you come to me for help. And if it brings me joy, then I can help you because I can.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your savior. We are no
Mm-hmm.
one's savior. That was a big lesson my spirit team taught me in a meditation one time. I started bawling. No one's coming to save you. You are your own savior. I was like, no, I don't want that to be true. I was like bawling in my
Oh
meditation.
my God.
But um, because I was codependent. I wanted a man to
Mm-hmm.
come and save me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah, I still
Absolutely.
feel like I have that like what I really want, one of the points that I was hoping to address was the codependency. And like I'm so grateful now that I've been really sick and my husband is he's just taking care of me, and that's amazing. And my spirit team told me 5 years ago from a session that I did with somebody that they wanted me to stay in this relationship because it was going to be so good for both of us, and I was going to have an opportunity to find all this healing, that I could explore anything I wanted to explore for the whole time we were going to be together, and he was going to be my support and my rock. And it's in your highest good to because we had problems and all this stuff. And they said, just you guys are going to grow together, you guys are going to teach each other, and you're going to have the freedom, because I haven't had to work for like 5 years. Like I'll work a bit here and there because we run a company together, but he takes care of it all. But now as I'm healing and I'm starting to do my own getting better and all this kind of stuff, I don't want to be codependent. I want to like branch off and do my own thing so that I can support myself. And if things don't work out, it's not going to be the end of the world because I learned to take care of myself. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a
So it
big
sounds like
thing.
it does sound like you're in a great relationship to learn all those things. So yeah, right on for them
Yeah.
telling you that. But look at the benefit. You just told me the benefit of getting sick and why you've made yourself sick. Because
Mhm.
you're the only one that can make yourself sick, by the way. Your
Mhm.
benefit was you got to feel what it was like and experience being totally supported.
Mhm.
Whereas when you grew up, you felt unsupported. You
Mm.
got to be
Yeah.
taken care of, and you weren't taken care of really growing up.
Yeah.
And so look at the benefit you got from that. So it's like, okay, am I
Mhm.
done with this lesson? If I'm done with this
Mhm.
lesson, let's move on and heal this stuff. Because yeah, I don't need to
Mhm.
keep learning about being supported. I can see that safety net underneath me, and I can know that I'm fully
Yeah.
supported by the universe.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And I really want to get to that place where it doesn't matter who is in my life or who leaves or who comes and who goes, because I'm going to feel supported
Mhm.
with the universe, and also have the confidence to believe that I can support myself. The same, the universe, myself, God. I don't want to feel like I need to be in a relationship or have a mommy or a daddy or a sister or whatever, like any of that stuff. I just want to be completely capable
Yeah.
to do whatever I need to do, like on my own, and
Yep.
allow support to come in when it is in my highest interest, or it feels right, but not out of a need, which is
Mhm.
definitely like, I feel that way a lot, that I need somebody to like do this for me or do that for me.
Yeah.
and I don't
100%.
like it.
100%. So this
Yeah.
is just a small step. So we're not going to specifically address codependency, one, because we don't have space for it if we want to do these other things. But two, we're already addressing the codependency with the self-love and pulling the
Yeah.
trapped emotions that are creating it, because it's a created
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's created
Yeah.
codependency. Why?
Yeah.
Thing you have to get at is, why am I creating it? That's what
Mm-hmm.
needs to be healed, and then the codependency goes away. Once you pull it by
Yeah.
the root, the whole flower is gone. The whole weed is
For
gone.
sure.
Once you pull it by the
For
root, it's
sure.
gone. So we're
Yeah,
not going
because
to
it's
deal
all
with snipping
connected.
the top. We're not going to snip the top. We're looking for
Yeah.
the deep issues, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's why I do theta healing inside of this, is because we're looking for the root. We're going to pull it by the root, and then it should be gone unless you want to recreate it again. You're welcome, and you may. I'm not saying you will or won't. You may recreate any of these things in your life anytime you want, because you are a creator.
Mm-hmm.
You can recreate any of this at any time. But when your higher
Mm-hmm.
self does it, it's done. So whether you
Mm-hmm.
want to, if you're not done with the lesson, you'll recreate it. So we can pull
Mm-hmm.
anything here. But again, if you don't learn the lesson, if you haven't learned the lesson, like really learned it, you're going to just recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean the work wasn't done, because all healing is instantaneous. If you don't receive it or you recreate it, it's because you've got a block. You're not. If you don't receive it instantaneously, you put a block there, because in some way that thing is benefiting you in some sort of lesson. And if you
Mm-hmm.
recreate it, it's because you're not done with the lesson.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
all
that makes
healing
sense.
is instantaneous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's whether or not we're finished with the lesson or not.
right. So that's why you always have to look for the lesson in everything. Why?
Right.
That's why you ask, what is it in me that needs to be healed in order for me to not get angry with my husband when he doesn't make breakfast the way I want? What
Right.
is it in me that needs to be healed? What lesson am I learning through this? Why do I
Mm-hmm.
keep creating this? I keep
Mm-hmm.
creating this because the lesson is I can't control and shouldn't control anyone else, because that's not my job, and it doesn't bring me peace. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating a lack of peace so that I can, so hopefully it motivates me and propels me to learn how to create peace. So whatever the lesson is, okay?
Right. Okay.
Um, did mom have uh addiction issues at all when she was pregnant with you, or no?
Um, it's really hard to say. She smoked. So
Oh,
yes.
okay, that's what it says here. Did your mother smoke?
Yeah.
About PCOS. Did your
And
mother spoke? How did this affect
yeah.
the fetal development stages, especially the fetal hormones? Did she consume alcohol or use medication? Did she have thyroid issues when she was pregnant? Explore how this may have affected you in utero. So we'll
She
do a
very
baby in
likely
the
had
womb.
thyroid issues as well.
Okay.
And she probably, like, her accounts of things are always totally like fairy tale world.
Right.
But from learning and growing up, hearing from other people, she absolutely drank. It wasn't like she was an alcoholic, but she probably
Right.
drank when she probably consumed some alcohol. She smoked. Like she definitely did things that she probably shouldn't have been doing while pregnant.
Right.
It was like the 70 or we were born in 80. It was the 80s. So like that stuff was a lot more common too. Not like today where like people are like, you can't have even one glass of wine or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, she, even just the smoking, and she had thyroid like issue. She was told she had a thyroid issue a long time ago. Yeah. but it's very clouded, like it's cloudy because like her accounts of things are always like she paints this
Yeah.
picture of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. I got it. I got it. All right, we're gonna do a baby in the womb healing for that because that might help with the PCOS too.
Okay.
Abandonment. Uh,
And my dad also abandoned her while she was pregnant as well. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna cover that. No worries, I'm gonna cover that. And you're also going to want to start making a list of what you can do. And you can ask in a meditation too, what you can do to show yourself love.
okay.
Okay. And then you're going to want to make that a priority in your life.
Okay. So like, for example, like my husband is really supportive about me just doing what I need to do right now to get back to like a healthy place. Like I have an opportunity where I don't really have to work. I want to, but like prioritizing my health and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, is it like I sometimes battle with the guilt of feeling like I should be working or I should be doing more stuff.
Well, you know why
like,
you're feeling that way? You know why you're feeling that way? Well, number one, it's just a program on this planet. That's number one.
Yeah.
So you can ask your higher self to pull that program in a meditation, but it's also you trying to be in your masculine energy. You need to learn how to be in your feminine energy.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
ask your higher self
Absolutely.
to
Okay.
balance your masculine and feminine energies, but you're going to want to set the intention every
Okay.
day. You can set the intention every day for your higher self to balance the hormones in your body, balance your brain chemicals, and balance your masculine and feminine energies. I'll repeat that. To balance your hormones, to balance your brain chemicals, and balance your masculine and feminine energies. And then you want to have your higher self show you what it looks like for your higher self to do those things. And you want to see it in your mind. You want to
Okay.
witness
So
it.
set intention to balance my hormones, my masculine.
And feminine energy and your brain chemicals every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because I
then,
really want to drop that because I feel like I have this great opportunity to like, I mean, I can go for a run in the morning. I could work out. I could meditate for 4 hours a day if I wanted. But I keep feeling guilty. So instead of like doing all that stuff, I'll like rush home and clean the house when like nobody gives a F if the house is a little bit dirty, or I'll stack more stuff on top of that. Those things that I'm trying to do for my health, I'll stack all these other responsibilities that nobody's really asking me to prioritize except for like my.
well, because you're trying again to create your worth outside of you. Well, I'm worthy
Yeah.
if I do these things. Instead of just
Okay.
knowing that you're worthy, be in your
Yeah.
meditation, and meditating on your worthiness is going to make way more difference to your family, your husband, your child than you cleaning the house ever could. You taking
Absolutely.
care of
Yeah.
yourself and exercising and spending time in nature or at the gym or wherever you're going to go is going to bring way more benefit than
Mm-hmm.
stacking more on top of cleaning the house so that you can live under the illusion that you're making yourself worthy.
Yeah,
because
making
that's what you're
myself
doing.
worthy through like the idea of like needing to cook like 3 square meals a day. Like who, like that's not my that's
Yeah.
like some old school
Yeah.
reality from like my grandma's
Right.
generation. Like nobody lives like that anymore, I don't think.
Right. Right. So what I'm saying is it's always, it's what can I do? What am I going to do for me today to show self-love, to show myself
Okay.
love? And then make that the first thing on your list. Like
Okay.
nothing else comes before it. I
Okay.
mean, those are absolutely first, like non-negotiables.
Okay.
And you don't have to prove your worth to anyone or anything. And really, really just focusing on, in your meditation, on your worthiness. There is no lack in you. You're not less than or lacking anything by living the way you're living. And then
Mhm.
turning around and focusing on the gratitude you have for being in a position to be able to do this enviable position of not having to work and being able to work on
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm. So it's okay for me to um prioritize, I need to get my 1 hour of exercise in this morning because that's so
Yes,
important to me to
yes,
feel good for
yes,
my mental health. And then after that, I can go and meditate. I could go be out in nature. And if
yes.
all the other things get put on the back burner, well, whatever, we'll get takeout tonight kind of
Mm-hmm.
attitude. Well,
Yeah,
whatever, I'll,
I used to tell my kids,
okay,
there's food in the freezer. I'm going to meditate for 2 hours.
yeah, okay.
I put
So
me
put
first.
myself first. Yeah, because I stress myself out, and then I'm not a nice wife. I'm not a good husband. I'm not a good, I'm not present with my kid because I'm worrying about all this other stuff that is just like this program that
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like, who created this program? It's not the kind of life that I really want to live, like being a
Right,
slave in the kitchen or whatever, right?
right.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to create this kind of life where it's like, I'm modeling out of my own creativity and what I want my day to look like, not so much like, the society expectations of like what a wife or mother should look. I definitely saw my mom doing that growing up though, too, and she was very like stressed out all the time, and I think I'm just kind of
Mhm.
recreating that in a sense.
Exactly. Let that go. Just choose to let it go.
Okay.
Just watch it float away in a balloon. That's mom. We're not mom. We are a creator of our own lives, and you get to create it any way you want. So, what do you want it to look like? I want it to look
Mm-hmm.
like getting up and exercising. I'm talking like I'm you. Getting up and exercising for an hour in the morning and then meditating for 2 hours and
Mm-hmm.
then putting on some, teaching meditation or not meditation, some teaching from YouTube or whatever, or an audible
Mm-hmm.
book for the
Mm-hmm.
next hour while I prep lunch and dinner for today and tomorrow. So that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
tomorrow, so that every other day, I'm not even cooking. I'm just heating up
Yes,
leftovers.
absolutely. Yeah.
Whatever it
Yeah.
is. I'm just saying, what
Mm-hmm.
do you want your life to look like? You can create it to be
Mm-hmm.
anything you want and then be in such gratitude because
Mm-hmm.
gratitude is going to keep you in the present moment and it's going to keep you grounded.
Okay.
It's going to keep you from being all in your head of, oh, I should feel bad. I should feel guilty. I should, blah, 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 busy brain, right? So it's going to
Mm-hmm.
keep
Mm-hmm.
you in the present moment and grounded and grateful and thankful. And when you're in that
Mm-hmm.
energy of gratitude, that's a high frequency energy. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're a magnet. Whatever energy you are emitting is what you're also attracting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whatever energy you are emitting, you're going to attract. If you're emitting guilt energy, you're going to attract more things to feel guilty about. If you're
Mm-hmm.
emitting great gratitude, grateful energy, you're going to attract more things to be grateful about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what kind of energy? You can just do energy checks every once in a while. Set an alarm on your phone every 30 minutes. Oh, what kind of energy am I emitting right now? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
energy check, or just say out loud, energy
Yeah.
check.
Energy check. I like that. I like that. Yeah, because I find the last couple of weeks since I've been meditating, like my energy is completely different. I
Yeah.
will go back in though, but like the end of the day, I'll be like scrambling and being all stressy about stuff. And it's just like such a waste to be in that state.
Well, here's the question you can write down and ask your higher self. What can I do to make my life stress-free? What are things I can do to make my life stress-free? I mean, I gave you one idea. I mean, you don't have to do it. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to take one day where you literally put on like an amazing Audible book and you're just listening to teaching and you're literally meal prepping for 3 days and you put them in
Mhm.
containers like lunch, lunch,
Mhm.
lunch, dinner, 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 and three
Mhm.
days. It's like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh. And I listened to this amazing teaching while I was doing it,
Mhm.
and I was in such gratitude. And then now, the
Mhm.
next 3 days, it's like, I don't have to cook. What am I going to do with this extra time?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually done that like a few times with the food prepping stuff, and it is like game changing,
It
honestly.
is.
Like it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, okay, mother's, oh, I was going to write something and then I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Oh, I'm going to ask to download the program into you. If I know what it feels like, I know that it's possible, and I know how to create a life I want to live without the need to feel guilty or less than because I'm not meeting society's expectations of how one should live their life.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, because I know my husband is always just like, I just want you to get healthy. I just want you to be focusing on working on yourself, and then I'll be like, oh well, maybe I'll work this week because we have a painting company together, and he's like, if you want to, I guess, but I would really prefer if you just did what is going to make you feel good. Like go to the
Yeah.
gym or go whatever. And I always like squander the opportunity more. More often it's like I'm my own, I'm sabotaging myself.
Right. Right. But you need to have a no excuses mentality.
Yeah.
Like me first, no excuses.
Okay.
Really just don't even allow yourself to have any excuses for not putting yourself first. Because when you do, I mean, you've heard the saying, happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah,
So,
totally. I
I
think
mean,
all he really wants is to come home and have me not be
yeah,
bitchy in a bad
yeah. If
mood.
mama's
And
happy, if mom ain't happy, nobody's happy. So
yeah,
he wants mama
absolutely.
happy.
He even says that he says that himself
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So he
yeah.
gets it.
If mom ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Yeah,
Um,
like
yeah,
I was just thinking about like how I was feeling really happy and really excited and just grateful for the fact that I get to do basically whatever I want to. And like a person that I know, she used to be a friend of mine, but she's not really a friend anymore. She's just like somebody I grew up with. She was like, do you just like, what do you even do? Do you just like at home all the time? Like really kind of like condescending attitude. And I remember like allowing that to like affect me so much. And it's just like, who cares if she wants to, you know, have some opinion about what I'm doing? Like she doesn't have any idea about anything. So why let
not
it
only that, but
bother me?
not only that, but it might be time to examine her as a whole and ask if she deserves a place at your table.
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely. She's not.
the whole
Yeah,
energy
she's
thing
not.
again, remember?
Yeah, she's not like, she's an old friend. Like, we don't hang out. I don't give her
Got it.
energy. We just like saw each other in the community, like at the store or something. And she's
Yeah.
just kind of like that snaky type person who like has to like, you know, put people down to feel better about herself. And I talked to one of my other friends, like an actual friend of mine who I spend time with, and she's like, you know what? She's like, you have like the best life. You have it made pretty much. So she's probably just honestly jealous of it or something, because why would you make that a negative, turn that into a negative thing? Like, it's awesome that I get to stay home and I got to be with my kid for the first 4 years of his life. I didn't have to work or anything. So that's a good thing. It's not something to feel bad about. Right. So.
Well, yeah, if you see someone like that again and they say something like that, just go, I'm busy being a superstar, a rock star, super mom. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I think it's great that I get to spend all this, you know, time with my kid, and I didn't have to just put him in daycare when he was little or anything like that. Right. So, yeah,
Exactly.
all about the mentality.
And we have way more questions than we're going to be able to fit in here in one session already.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're
No
not going to be able
worries.
to hit every
We
single
can just
thing.
focus on
We're
the main
we're
stuff.
going to try to focus on the root. You know what I mean? Pulling at things by the
Yeah.
root. But it really is going
Mhm.
to depend on um, how quickly you answer the questions, how quickly you channel your higher self, or how many bunny trails your higher self goes off on. Yesterday, my session, her higher self took our session in a totally different direction than I anticipated. So we got to maybe 3/4 of her questions because her higher self
Mhm.
just took it in a totally different direction. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So we had all
Also,
kinds. I mean, we got a lot done,
yeah.
but it was stuff that wasn't even on our radar. And so it was just
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay. Her higher self called
Yeah.
her a victim. She's in victim mode. Everything happens
Yeah.
to her. And I was like, what? Anyway,
Yeah. I'll trust the process. I know that these are just kind of
just an
guidelines,
outline. Yes.
and they're just guidelines, and whatever is most important is what's going to come up.
Yeah.
And also,
Gonna
like
come
you
up.
were saying, it's all connected. So you pull one string over here and it's going to affect all this other stuff. So I just
100%.
wanted to jot down as much stuff as I thought is affecting my life, but everything is going to happen the way it's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I don't really have
Yeah.
like expectations in any one specific way, to be honest. It's just kind of like I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, and so let's go ahead and end part 1 on the recording right now, but just hold on, you and I'll talk logistics for our lunch break. And then if this goes online, then invite everyone back to watch part 2, which will jump in right when you're in another life, a parallel life, if you want to call it a concurrent life, a past life, whatever name you want to give it, but another life that's relevant to this life in some way. And then we'll try to see if your higher self will show you what you do in between lives, as long as that life explanation isn't too long, if we have the time. And then after that, that's when you'll be channeling your higher self to bring all these answers forward. Now, the woman yesterday did not see a past life. She went straight into this life and straight into her situation and what was going on. So rather than me going, no, wait, we're going to go look at a past life first. Of course I don't do that. I know the
Yeah.
higher self is leading the session and I'm
Mhm.
just following. That rarely happens. By the way, it's happened a few times where someone
Okay.
has done that and they just skipped all that because there was so much. Like I said, even we didn't even get to a fourth or a third of her questions because there was just so much other stuff. So it was good we had that extra time to just focus on this life. But she got
Yeah.
a ton of wisdom. So okay, let me end the recording here.
Okay.